No.
Welcome to the My Haunt Life podcast.
Hello and welcome to the My Haunt Life podcast. I'm Mike.
And I am Russell.
So this is a very, very special episode. This is going to be our haunt season spooktacular. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm
excited, man. It's haunt season.
I know. I'm excited too. I'm usually the one making weird noises.
We're going to be talking about a lot of haunts and a lot of experiences in this podcast. And rather than giving you all of their information like we usually do, we think it would be better if we just put them all in the links in the show notes. So if you want a specific link, you want to check them out on the web or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all of the links will be in the show notes. So check that out. We thought it would be more annoying to, after every single thing we talked about, to give you all the links.
And also, we're just so excited. We just want to talk about it.
Exactly. So check out the show notes for the links.
Mike and I have been talking about this for a while. We wanted to do an episode where we basically just say, like, hey, this is kind of what we're looking forward to. And this is the things that we are going to try to make it to in September, October, and November, because haunt season now expands approximately 2.5 months, or approximately 2 months over the course of that 3-month period. So we have been intending this for a while, and we kind of got sidetracked at one point because Noah over at No Proscenium called up and said, hey, would you guys come on and talk to No Proscenium about things that are coming up during spooky season, as he calls it. So we are, the No Proscenium podcast is out there. Hopefully you've checked out No Proscenium. They're an awesome resource for information about immersive pieces in multiple cities, not just Los Angeles. And we're going to be rehashing some of that territory here, but we also have some other things to add into the mix that didn't get covered on that podcast. Mike, do you want to just dive in?
Sure. The first thing I wanted to mention is that last year we lost quite a few haunts. They weren't open last year. And I'm happy to say that this year, 2 out of those 3 are going to be open, and we're so excited for it. I'm going to start with the bad news first. It looks like Sherwood Scare, unfortunately, will not be open again this year.
That's really disappointing.
It really is. I'm really sad. They weren't open last year, and it looks like they're not going to be opening this year. I hit them up on Facebook because I wanted to add them to the haunt calendar at myhauntlife.com/calendar. To see, so I could add them, because they were one that I was so looking forward to. Just everything that they do, it's a home haunt, but going through it, you would have no idea that it's a home haunt.
It's epic.
It really is. There's a walkthrough of the last show they did from 2014, and you watch that and you will think to yourself, how the hell is this in someone's yard?
Yeah, really.
It's so incredible. So bad news. I'm sorry. I'm super bummed. I hope they do something in the future. And if they listen to this, please know that we are huge fans, and
absolutely,
you have huge fans out there that want you to open back up. And if it has to do with your neighbors, screw your neighbors. Just kidding. Don't, because that would be bad the rest of the year. But seriously, screw your neighbors. But hopefully you can move that somewhere and maybe even make the jump to being a professional haunt or something like that. So our thoughts are with you. We hope you do something soon. The other 2 that we were excited about last year that didn't have a haunt specific are back this year. And actually, we are really, really, really excited about them. The first one is Delusion.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
This is what we've been talking about for, like, we mentioned this to everybody, that you need to get a ticket. It's going to sell out. And what happened? The first initial run has already sold out.
Yes, very quickly. The subtitle for Delusion this year is His Crimson Queen. And Delusion is an immersive theater piece, which has haunt-like elements. The production design is amazing. It quite often includes stunts, interactive elements where your group quite often gets separated and you have smaller scenes with individual characters along the way. The stories are usually very intricately plotted. and pull you into a very, very unique, mystical, magical, spooky world. And we are so excited that Delusion is coming back.
And an interesting thing about Delusion is we had mentioned this on the last podcast about the bunker experience, how it's not a set. The same thing applies for Delusion.
Yes.
Like, it's not a set. It's based in a real world home.
Yeah, they apparently, John Braver, who is the creative mind behind Illusion, hinted at one of the conventions that they were returning to basically a residence, it seems, this year. So, which, for those of you who have followed Delusions in past years, they've actually taken over and built into actual homes the entire event. So you, the last time Delusion was around, you actually, the whole plot of the show was you sort of broke into a writer's house and explored the house. So they take an environment, and the show is adapted into that environment and very intricately woven into whatever physical structure they're in. It's awesome.
I can't wait to see what they have planned for us this year.
Yeah,
And
I'm so looking forward to this.
this is one that you will want to save your pennies and save all your recyclables and get money back, because you will probably want to go back a second time.
Now, it looks, I know that Delusion wants to do an extension, and of course that always hinges on everything from city ordinances and codes and permits and everything else when you're coming to do an immersive piece. But we wish them all the best. We hope that they do manage to do an extension. Keep an eye on Delusion. As soon as they announce that extension, tickets will sell very, very fast.
Yeah, sign up for their mailing list. Follow them on Facebook, because that's when you're going to get the information about an extension and the first crack at those newly released tickets.
What was the other one you mentioned, Mike?
Sinister Point.
Of course.
Sinister Point is back with a haunt this year. The last haunt they did was a couple years ago, and it was called Beyond the Mirror. And that was one of our favorite haunts that year.
It was so much fun. Very interactive. We got split apart at various times. Mike and I were actually lucky enough to do it just the two of us. We went through.
Just the two of us.
Oh, that's so going to come back and haunt you.
Will it haunt me in my life? My haunt life?
Wow.
Can you tell we just had a bunch of sugar?
Yes, we've been eating M&Ms.
And what else did you have?
I had a Snickers.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, by the way, who bought you the Snickers, Mike?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But you had one.
How many times do we have to go down this road?
So you bought the Snickers. You bought a Snickers that had 2 Snickers in it.
Yes.
So you were at the store.
Yes.
Where they actually had other options such as Kit Kats, but you
Yes.
decided to buy a Snickers and not a Kit Kat and a Snickers.
I was kind, and I was bringing you a Snickers as we were recording the podcast, and I thought, hey, if he's willing to share the 2 bars, I would have a Snickers as well.
But not a Kit Kat.
So
because you did not purchase a Kit Kat.
So,
Anyways.
I have never said that I was anti-Snickers. It was never about being anti-Snickers.
Oh, I know,
it's just
but
like Team Kit Kat, I am more pro Kit Kat.
Except today.
So, yeah. There's no winning with you. No. Anyway, back to Sinister Point.
Yes.
The thing I am most excited about, Mike, about Sinister Point, we mentioned Beyond the Mirror. It was a very interactive, very multi-path thing for Beyond the Mirror. One of the things I'm excited about, Mike, this year is the promise of the multiple journeys through.
Yeah. And an all-night pass, too.
Absolutely. Sinister Point is saying that there are 4 paths based on 4 demon characters that you will meet, and each path through the show will be different. And so the first thing, we spoke to Jeff from Sinister Point at one of the haunt conventions recently, and the first thing that Mike and I both, when Jeff said that to us, we lit up and went, you know us, we want all 4.
Yep.
Like immediately, and he said, yes, you will be able to do that. You know, with when you purchase your tickets, you will be able to do the all-night pass, which will allow you to do all 4 paths.
Yeah, because they had that at their Christmas haunt a couple years ago.
Oh, that's true. We did that.
And that was awesome. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
You just go through and then run out the exit and then just get right back into line.
Yeah, like we have a big fondness for Sinister Point haunts, and we're so happy that they're coming back with a full-fledged haunt. Next up would be, I think for me, Motel 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
So, and Mike, I got to admit, I would not have found this without you.
Oh,
So, like, you were the one who said, "Look, there's this thing we want to check out." We were down in Anaheim. We were trying to fit in several other haunts, and Mike had like this agenda of let's drive over here, let's drive over there. Motel 6 Feet Under was one of those that you hadn't gone to it,
Right.
and I was like, "Sure, I'm open for anything," and both of us just had such a great time.
And this was one of those where I didn't hear much about it. I didn't know much about it. And it was one of those, I mean, we're in the area. We may as well. You know, there wasn't excitement to go. It wasn't a destination. It was more of it's on the way. Like, we'll stop off, you know? And man, I'm so glad we did, because it ended up being, what did you call it? The gem of the haunt season.
That's right.
And it really was. Last year, holy crap, after we went through, we didn't shut up about it.
Oh, yeah.
Even to this day, we don't shut up about it. And it was just like, it's just such a good time of fun and scares and tricks and treats and everything that you love about Halloween.
Do you remember the open? It's actually to be totally honest, they took a cue from Disneyland. You waited outside in a line, and then you entered the first room, and the first room was also a little bit of a line, which is a classic theme park move of like, oh, they think they're in the door, and then there's another line. But do you remember how well decorated that first room was?
Oh yeah.
There was so much beautiful stuff in that room, and it was the perfect mood setter. And then we walked in, and I swear the first 10 or 15 minutes of that haunt in particular is one of my favorite memories from last year, because they did such clever things right off the bat that it was just like, I love Motel 6 Feet Under.
Yeah. And that was your memorable moment. My memorable moment was the barrels.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Very, like, good scare.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, which we're not going to tell you more than that.
Yep.
So, what else for you?
Creep.
True. Very true.
Creep. I think Creep is going to be the first actual haunt we go to this year.
Oh, you're right, because we're doing that fairly soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the next couple of weeks. Holy crap, it's September.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I love the thing with Creep LA this year is their storyline is that there supposedly was an artist named Erebus Berwick who disappeared from public view at some point, and he now has this cult following because there's so much darkness to his art, and they say that you're going to enter the mind of a tormented artist. So, first of all, last year, visually, Creep LA was so much fun. They did a lot of really cool visual stuff inside their haunt, and the fact that they're going this tormented artist route has me so excited.
Oh, yeah. I mean, being inside the mind of a tortured artist, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, and the little preview they did at Scare LA led you into this very like kind of voyeuristic feel where you were looking at very dark and demented art, which may or may not have been a real person who suddenly moved and scared the hell out of you.
You mean you?
Yeah, I mean me. Yeah, I definitely Creep LA. I'm so looking forward to, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's going to be even longer than last year, so we get more creep time to become creepers.
Excellent. One thing that I really enjoyed last year, Mike, and they have announced something very specific, and that's Alone. And Alone has hinted that they're going to do a one-night-only event. But right now, we don't know much more than that.
Yeah, the artwork was very similar to the artwork they have used for the events at Midsummer Scream and Scare LA, except instead of the mushin of the Ashen Deer clan...
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, obviously. Or Drinks from Your Face, right. It's one night only. So, I mean, technically, if you want to get all nerdy about it, one night only could just be the theme or the, kind of going along with that. But it probably just means they're only doing something for one night.
Yeah, probably.
Which is a bum out. But, I mean, one night is better than no nights.
Oh,
at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely... when Alone goes dark and creepy, which they dabble in, but usually their whole shows aren't dark and creepy. When they go dark and creepy, I love them so much.
Oh yeah,
I really do. Like because they have that potential of really, really messing with you. And I really enjoyed that. Their show last year around this time was one of my favorite things that they've done. I hope to heck it falls on a date that doesn't conflict with something else.
Yeah.
So
That's what
the
I was
one.
worried
Yeah,
about.
that's the one night only thing that scares me.
I hope it's not like on Saturday, October 24th, which
Yeah.
is when every single thing is going on.
Absolutely.
So since it's going to be one night only, make sure you follow them on social media and Facebook because if it's only one night, it's going to be tough to get tickets because it will sell out. So make sure you follow them, you sign up for their email list, and or check the My Haunt Life calendar to see what else is going on that date and see if you have any conflicts.
Speaking of selling out, we should point to something else.
I don't like where this is going.
So, why are you planning on selling out? No. Unbound Productions, Wicked Lit. They are known for selling out their runs. Their tickets are on sale now. They've for those of you not familiar with the Wicked Lit, it is a very theatrical production, usually 3 productions with a wraparound story that you walk through. Wear comfortable shoes. So their tickets are on sale. And this year, the reason I'm really intrigued, Mike, is that they are going to actually do an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond.
That's going to be fun.
I so want to see what they do with that. And then there's Anansi and the Demons and The Shadowy Third are the name of the other 2 stories. I'm definitely excited. I'm really, really curious about their wraparound, which according to Noah over at No Proscenium is sort of like a talent show wraparound. So I'm really, really curious to see what they do. Again, like get your tickets early for that. And the nice thing about Wicked Lit is their run is usually a little bit longer than haunt season. So they offer a wider variety of dates than some traditional haunts. And please don't think I'm calling them a traditional haunt. They are definitely a theatrical production. They are a play that you walk through and follow.
Now, I've actually never been to Wicked Lit.
Oh, I thought you had been.
No, because I was never really the theater guy, and I consider this theater.
Yes.
So for me and for other people that are listening that may not have dabbled into true theater like this, tell us why we should go see it.
You know, we use the term immersive a lot on this podcast. It's slightly immersive in the fact that it actually takes place in a mausoleum.
So it's an immersive environment,
Yes.
not so much immersive theater.
Exactly. And you usually don't interact specifically with the characters. What you do is you walk around the grounds of the mausoleum. The last couple of years, there is a cemetery adjacent, and they actually staged productions inside the cemetery. And what happened, I think it was 2 years ago, they did The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and you went into the cemetery, and for the final sort of attack, the whole sequence where the throwing of the pumpkin head was actually done with wires through the cemetery. So they staged all of that live in an actual cemetery. It was beautiful. It was fascinating to watch. They did a sequence last year where inside the mausoleum that you reached a point where destruction was happening to the building around you. They staged this amazing thing because they have long hallways at their disposal. So they do have fun with darkness, dark corners, things fading into darkness. They did this sequence last year where you basically, at the very end of the show, stuff was falling apart around you. They staged this wonderful visual moment with a projection screen where as you were moving down a hallway, the wall in front of you crumbled.
That's cool.
It was very, very cool. It was sort of like an optical illusion thing, but very effective. You know, so they played, I think that was last year. It might have been the year before, actually, now that I think about it. One of my favorite things is they did, I'm drawing a blank on the short story. I want to say it was also Lovecraft, and it's the catacombs where the man is abandoned in the catacombs because of he had had an affair with someone's wife and he was being punished. And at the end of that story, you were in the mausoleum and they turned off all the lights so you were in complete darkness, and they left us there for a very, very long time. Long enough for it to be uncomfortable, and you could tell people were not happy at point. Like it got to the point where literally the audience became so uncomfortable. People where you could hear people like starting to talk and get antsy, and then a character came and took care of the rest of the show. That's why I would recommend Wicked Lit, is because of moments like that, because you are in this environment that is, it's not that mausoleums are creepy, and by mausoleum, I'm talking, think of the mausoleum from Phantasm, the movie. That's what I'm talking about.
Will the tall man be there?
So, if we're lucky. That's why I would recommend Wicked Lit, is even though it's a theatrical play, and you move, and what happens is you walk from one area to another, and they play out a scene, and then usually a character will lead you to another area, you follow them, another scene plays out. It is very much like watching a play, but because of the environment, and because they do have fun with stairs, they play things on multiple levels, it's just a really fun evening. It's not going and sitting and watching a play. Like, you are moving around, and wear comfortable shoes, depending on the weather, bring a jacket, because like the last few years, we have been outside for big portions of this. Look, all I have to point to is they seem to sell out every year. I mean,
Right.
They've got a huge following, and there's a reason they've built that up.
Cool.
So, yeah, definitely recommend Wicked Lit, Unbound Productions.
Another thing I'm super excited about is Zombie Joe's, of course. Urban Death at Halloween. It's the best of both worlds, man. It's a maze and then it's theater. So you have both creepy, spooky things happening at one event. And we've gone the last, probably few years.
I think this will be their third year
since it started, right? Yeah. We've gone to every year, and every year it's so good. Like the maze they do is, the maze, there's one part that gets me every single time, and I know it's coming, and I still jump, and it's like, but that, that goes to show how fun and good it is. And then, after the maze, you're led into a showing of Urban Death which is just creepy. We've mentioned it on past podcasts before, and the creepiness factor is just out of this world.
And make your plans early, because they only run on the weekends. It's a limited run. Like, you need to make sure you schedule this into your plans, definitely. And I will say, Mike, like you mentioned that scare. I know the scare you're talking about, and it's so effective. Last year, I will say this about that walkthrough. Like, one of the creepiest, most horrifying images from last year, my entire haunt season, was around that last corner. And do you remember?
Yep, I sure do.
I don't even know how to describe that image of this person sort of being tortured and is in pain and is in an awkward physical position. And it just, it dumbfounded me. I literally stopped in my tracks and stared at that for a while. Like, that's so disturbing.
Yeah.
More power to him.
Yeah. And
I want to go now.
Right. And here's, I wanted to quote Zombie Joe, because he sent me the dates so I could add them to the haunt calendar. And I replied and told him, like, hey, I just added these, like, we're good. And then he wrote back, and I am quoting him: "We're giving a walloping push this year for a very special Urban Death. We want everybody to come see it." How often do you hear walloping being used as an adjective for something like this? Like, holy crap. Like, what? Like, that's so awesome to me.
I want to be walloped right now.
Oh. Anyways, Zombie Joe's Urban Death, Halloween time. It's a maze and it's theater. Can't wait. You should definitely check it out. So another thing that's a tried and true and tested fun time, the Haunted Hayride. This year, they seem to be offering something that they've never done before. For the first time, you are going to leave the safety and the comfort of the actual hayride. So it makes me wonder if they're doing something similar to what Universal does on the Terror Tram, where you can get off and walk through, where the Walking Dead was or where the Bates Motel was, things like that. And there will be scenes happening.
I wonder. I didn't make that connection when I read that on their website, but yeah, it's like, I wonder if that's what they're trying to do. And the hayride is always a good time. But one of the things that and I think I've said that when we talked about it last year, you know that you're safe as long as you're on the hayride on the tractor bed, because you know that the actors can't really leave their zone. You can't, like, if they're introducing the element of like taking you away from that safety thing, that's going to just amp up the fun.
Oh yeah, especially for people that are like you.
Oh, what?
And get scared.
Yes, I get scared. That's why I'm there. No,
I'm just kidding. But
no, you're not.
No, I know. But the hayride is obviously the main attraction of that. But all of their other haunts that they have are also just super fun, and just the atmosphere and the environment. We've said it before, but it feels like you're at a fall festival or like a fall fair.
Yeah,
and it's just such a good time. And there's cotton candy and hot chocolate and cider and monsters on stilts and random clowns roaming around taking pictures with you and trying to scare you. And
also I think it's really cool. They also have like tarot card readers. They have psychic readings.
Yeah.
They have little sketches, like almost like camp shows going on. And one of the cool things last year, and this is how much fun they have at Haunted Hayride, Slender Man was roaming around the grounds, but I wouldn't say he was a featured character.
Right. You have to notice him.
I guarantee you there were tons of people who didn't even realize he was there. But if you paid attention, he was kind of like moving along the tree line at the exterior of the grounds. And it was so creepy. It was so effective.
And the other cool thing about the hayride is it takes part in Griffith Park, which is haunted.
Allegedly.
Jeez. Oh, just like allegedly Tom is Addison's father.
All right. It was a tension experience joke for those of you who didn't get it. So, but no, definitely recommend the Haunted Hayride. It looks to be fun. And particularly in the last couple of years, Haunted Hayride has really upped their game with production value. I don't want to say animatronics because they're bigger than that. So they have a lot of set pieces that are really elaborate, really ornate, really unique characters, very physical performances by some of the performers. It's fascinating, and they throw a lot at you when you go to the Haunted Hayride, and that's one of the things I like about them.
And the cool thing too is they step up even just costuming. It's not like you just, you're going to be a burn victim, so we're going to put, a charred shirt on you and put charred makeup. They go that extra step and add LEDs into those clothing to make it look like there's burning embers inside. So even if you don't like the mazes or the hayride, going to see what they do with their characters and the effects that they add, it's just so mesmerizing, like what people can do these days.
Yeah. You mentioned the costuming and the makeup, et cetera, from Haunted Hayride. Mike, another place that I really have enjoyed the last few years, I think the costuming, the makeup at Queen Mary's Dark Harbor haunt. The stuff inside those mazes, the roam around characters of Queen Mary, they're so good. And I have a blast there every time I go.
Yeah, it's a similar vibe to the hayride.
I think
kind of like
a
carnival, like festival type theme.
Yeah, and Queen Mary is just like the characters that they have are fascinating. If they do the freak show thing again this year, I really hope they do, because I've had so much fun the last couple of years there. Particularly like 2 years ago, it was a bit larger than it was last year. I loved that area. And it was so much fun.
And I got to participate last year. I got to be on his back while he hopped on glass.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. So Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, really another just all out fun evening. And Queen Mary is one of those I think that's growing rapidly. I would recommend definitely getting like a VIP or a front of the line pass that they offer for Queen Mary.
Yeah, if you don't, you probably 95% sure you will not hit every maze.
Yeah,
because we got there at opening and we had a regular pass and we were not able to hit. I think we missed like 2 mazes.
Right. So yeah, next year, this year, going back, I definitely want to do that. So and also there's a couple of the production design in their mazes. Do you remember like the post-apocalyptic thing that they did last year, the one maze? that was so well designed.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful maze. Like it sounds odd to say post-apocalyptic was beautiful, but like really, it was just like really deep, really fun, grimy feel to the environment, and a couple of really great scares in that maze in particular, especially near the end.
Yeah.
There were a couple of really good scares in that. So
And
definitely recommend Queen Mary Dark
and another
Harbor.
thing too, there's a couple mazes on the actual Queen Mary.
Yes.
And the Queen Mary's haunted. Don't say allegedly. So, being in the midst of in a haunted environment, going through a haunted house, it adds so much to it, because you might get touched or something and think it was, the person behind you or the actor. And then you turn around and you realize no one else is there. So is it part of the haunt, or is it part of the ship? You never know. And like, that's some of the coolest stuff.
Definitely. Definitely.
And here's an insider tip. Parking sucks there. There will be lines going out the door. What we did last year is we parked at a nearby lot that had free parking after like 6 or something. There were meters. Park at one of those places and take an Uber. An Uber is going to be like $3 there and back. You don't have to wait in line, because there's a special line for people that are getting dropped off, and it just moves really quick. So I think parking was like $20 or something.
I don't remember, but I ended up, because I was working and I had to meet you guys later, and I ended up paying that price.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to get there as quickly as possible.
So-
but yeah, your suggestion is much better.
So yeah, so if it's $20, I mean, you're looking at like $6 to $10 Ubering and parking, because parking in Long Beach is horrible already.
Right.
But you will probably get in quicker. And I don't know about leaving. You will probably leave quicker based on whenever you leave. But you don't have to pay that high price and, get herded in with all the other cars. So keep that in mind when you're going there.
Yeah, I remember it took me a while to get out of there last year because of the backup of all the cars leaving. Queen Mary is on the larger size. It's more one of the more mainstream, almost theme park style. It's grown so much in the last few years, and we're so happy about that because it is so cool. And you also have the bigger haunts. Like Mike, I know you usually don't go to Universal Halloween Horror Nights. Not Scary Farm is out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for good, like just sort of, I don't mean this in a bad way, brand name
Right.
sort of scares. Knott's has got such a rich tradition behind it. Their mazes are always cool. Universal has the name brand monsters. They've got a Halloween maze. They've got a Texas Chainsaw maze this year. They have the Walking Dead, experience. So, those kind of things are available to you. I don't know how you feel, Mike. For me, it's not always the highest thing on my priority list.
It's not.
I enjoy them when I go.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, the last time I went to Universal, like that's what kind of, it was like, okay, I'm giving this another chance because last year I hated it. This year I'll give it a shot, and it was the same thing.
The conga line.
The conga lines. I'm not trying to sound like a haunt elitist or anything, but when you have so many people that aren't not into horror, not into haunts, and they're just going because it's a Halloween thing,
Right.
There's so many of those people, it kind of kills the vibe when, there's no haunt etiquette, I guess you could say. With the, you know what I mean?
I understand the size of those crowds gets so incredibly large, and it's more fun going to a smaller haunt.
It definitely is.
It's like I totally agree with you, but I don't think it's that. I don't think either of us are knocking Universal or Knott's for
No,
what they
they're
are.
amazing for what they do. It's just, it's not for me. I
totally understand.
I don't want to wait in a 3-hour line just to see one maze and then go wait in another 3-hour line. And then, oh, we're closing.
Yeah, I missed Universal last year. I may try to fit them in again this year because they do have a couple of mazes that I haven't seen them do mazes for. For example, they have a Halloween maze this year apparently, and I've never seen Universal tackle that. I missed the last time they had one, so I'm going to try to fit it in if I can. As far as like big splashy events, we have to mention the tension experience.
Yeah.
Because, we look, as members of this podcast, regular listeners of this podcast will know, we've been following the tension experience sort of a portion of the tension experience called Indoctrination has been going on for several months.
Since February.
And we've been participating in that as patrons. We've had some one-on-one events. We have not paid for any of those events. It's sort of, some people are calling it an ARG, an alternate reality game. So some people are calling this leading an immersive experience. I think it's all of the above. And now recently they've started to sort of peel back the curtain a bit. They've done some mainstream articles in the LA Times, the LAist. There's been articles out there about what the tension experience is leading to. They have announced a live event. And it sounds so ambitious.
Right.
I think it's going to fit very well into Haunt Season. They're leaning toward an immersive experience where decisions, they have hinted that decisions you make will affect your path. And even if you go in with a group, you might, diverge into different sections of that group. It sounds like you will encounter and interact with characters and possibly be given tasks, possibly have to solve things. They've hinted at all of this, but they have not declared what they are. Mm-hmm. And Mike, that is what excites me about this.
Right.
Is the fact that they aren't declaring anything specific. So they're new on the scene. They are obviously trying something incredibly ambitious. That excites me. The fact that they've had this months worth of lead up excites me. It's a pricey ticket. It's $125, I believe.
Right. But they're promising at least a 2-hour experience.
So if you break that down, that's a very reasonably priced ticket.
That's like $1 a minute.
Yeah. What a bargain. So I'm pointing this as, to me, this is one of the things I'm most excited about this season.
Yeah. Not so much this most excited we're about a haunt, but...
Yeah, it's like this is an experiment. Like
yeah.
This is... And you know me, Mike, I love experiments. I love going to things...
I saw that video.
Hey. So, I love going to things that are people trying something new, and this is so ambitious.
Oh, yeah.
This is off the charts, new, uncharted territory. I am so looking forward to this.
These articles like in LA Times and LAist and Daily Dead and things like that, there are spoilers in the article about the actual event. Be careful if you're reading it and you're going through. One thing that they also mentioned was the creator behind it. They lifted up the curtain, and the person behind it, the creator, is Darren Lynn Bousman. And if you have seen Saw 2, 3, or 4, then you know his work. And if you've seen Repo, the Genetic Opera, you know his work. So you know what kind of messed up things could happen or could happen to you. And this is has nothing to do with anything, but I just thought of something funny. If he was on Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, you know how they changed the names?
Yes.
They would put his name as Darren Lynn Bousman. Because they always change the names to make it spooky. And that's how my mind works.
Okay. All right, I'll give you that.
And it would be in that green, creepy font.
Yes, I love the green, creepy
yes.
font. Okay, back to tension experience. Now that we've diverged that way. So, yes, they have listed him as creator, which gets me even more excited, to be totally honest.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm hoping this has a dark, creepy feel or vibe about it. It doesn't sound like a haunt,
right?
And my only concern is I hope people don't think that we're promoting it as such.
No, we're definitely not. And even they say that they are not a haunt,
right?
So it seems more like immersive theater.
Yes, I agree with that.
Not a haunt.
And I love the immersive theater stuff. And if they're in some of those articles and interviews, they reference things like Sleep No More and Then She Fell as an influence. He also did a No Proscenium podcast interview, which if we highly recommend that, but also if you don't want spoilers for the Tension Experience live event, which is called Ascension, by the way, I would say steer clear of that podcast until you buy your ticket and go through.
Yeah.
But definitely I'm definitely excited about this, Mike.
I am too. I mean, the last 7 months of our life has been dedicated to this.
Yeah,
like how could we not be excited about this?
Yes, yeah, exactly what you just said. But I'm excited beyond that. I'm excited that this could be the immersive thing finally that LA gets.
Right.
That's on an ambition level with other cities that have done immersive stuff, like New York. That's what I'm not going to weigh my expectations down with that, but that's what I'm hoping for. The little kid in me wants LA to finally get the immersive, like, expansive exploration that this city deserves.
Of course.
And I hope the Tension Experience is it. My suspicion is it probably is. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Also, if you've listened to the podcast, you definitely have heard us give our rundowns of our experiences within the Tension Experience. We will be recording a ending of Indoctrination podcast once Indoctrination ends, which is going to be when Ascension begins. So from February until Ascension begins, they have been calling that the Indoctrination period. And that's what we've been keeping tabs of, like with the periscopes, with the dead drops, with the character changes, the plot changes, things like that. We will be recording a final one once that is over to catch you up with what happened from Scare LA until the start of Ascension. So another thing we did last year was its first year, was the 17th Door. And they're back this year, and they're in a Tustin marketplace. And our experience last year wasn't the greatest.
I think you're being kind.
But the more I hear about this year, the more intrigued I'm getting, and definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, I would like to clarify my comment just then. Our show got disrupted, and we missed several rooms. We literally had security people interrupting scenes, herding us out of rooms. We had to skip multiple rooms. It was just, our whole evening was compromised due to technical problems. So we did not have a great experience with 17th Door last year. They go for shock value, Mike. That's obviously, I think they're there to ruffle feathers. I think some people's feathers will be ruffled.
Oh, definitely.
Which I think you just have to know that that's part of what 17th Door is about, and make the decision of whether that's going to bother you or not. I know people last year were upset that, there were, at times real animal parts or, real cockroaches used in a sequence. And also the subject matter is very dark, or it was last year. And story-wise, Mike, you know more about the story this year than I do. Is it as dark, do you think, as last year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, because actually I'm gonna read this from an email that I got from the 17th Door.
Okay.
The unique timed haunt experience delves into the story of its main character, Paula, and how her life falls hard and fast down a spiral of torture and bad decisions. Can you walk in Paula's shoes through the dissolution of her life and burning flashbacks of her past to withstand what's behind that final door? Or will you succumb to fear and have to cry out mercy? The storyline will continue where last year's left off, with Paula's attempted suicide and asylum residency. It's the same main character, still mostly taking place at Glutier? We're not really sure how to say this. Glutier? Like gluttony? Glutiere University. We'll be diving deeper into Paula's character by visiting her childhood and exposing where her problems first originated. Her childhood will be a major part of the storyline this year. We plan to focus on developing the story this year, and we have some good ideas about how we intend to do that. And that's a quote from Robert Luther, one of the creators. So that, hell yeah, seeing where problems start and what caused her to go, oh yeah, I'm down.
All right, I will say that I'm curious. And I'm willing to give them another try, but it just, last year was just such a negative experience that it wasn't high on my priority list, to be totally honest.
Right.
But and I think you understand why.
Yeah.
It was such a negative experience last year, and not because of the content, more because of the technical issues and the fact that we expressed hey, we had all these problems, and The customer service was not good, but I'm willing to give them another chance because like the shock value stuff that doesn't bother me.
Right, it doesn't bother me.
As long as it's story driven.
It actually gets me more excited.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I love to piss people off sometimes. And
you?
like, and you know, like I'll say things and like dig in like just because of that same thing.
Oh, like you've never done that to me? Wow.
No, never.
No, never. You've never done that to me.
So anyways, but yeah, like I'm a fan
He's done that to me, people.
No, I haven't. But I'm a fan of pushing buttons, and it's like pushing buttons during haunt season in a haunt, like yeah, let's do it. Like people are expecting to be scared. They're not expecting to get possibly offended. So it's like, okay, let's bring something else into the mix. Like I love that.
Okay. You've talked me into at least giving it another chance.
All right. And you're not even a listener. We did our jobs on this podcast.
Yes, you have recruited me. Okay, Mike, we've been talking about all the haunt stuff, but I think like everyone who listens to the podcast knows that we love escape rooms. Definitely want to point to a couple of things going on in escape rooms for the Halloween season.
They're special for the Halloween season.
Yes. Crossroads Escape Games in Anaheim says that they're going to take the Hex Room, which is one of our favorite rooms, and amp it up for the Halloween season. And that has us excited. And I'm really, really curious to see what they do with that, because it's already one of our all-time favorite escape rooms. Really curious to see what they do for the Halloween season.
Yeah, from what we understand, they are going to add new puzzles and possibly a new twist to the room for the month of October and possibly longer. We're not exactly sure what it is, but Madison and Luke have teased us that there's going to be something special going on for October in the Hex Room to make it a little bit more Halloween-y and scary and spooky, as if it wasn't enough already. But it's awesome for us because we've already done it a couple times. This is another reason for us to go back and check it out. We're there.
Yes, definitely.
And the next one is the Bunker Experience. We talked about this and gave it a glowing review, and they had mentioned that for the month of October, they are going to up the haunts and they are going to add other elements. And we didn't give you the spoiler, but the ending is going to be something that they are going to add to and soup up for the month of October. And they said it will be about 20 times what it is currently.
So if you've done the escape room and you know that final twist, imagine that amped up for Halloween, which I think that would excite anyone who's escaped the Bunker Experience.
Yeah.
And it's worth going to the Bunker Experience anyway. So, yeah, definitely curious to see what they do for Halloween.
We will be going back,
yes,
for sure. One thing that we haven't mentioned, Russell, that we're both fans of are extreme haunts. And it seemed like the last couple years, LA had a bunch going on. This year, for haunt season, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like I don't think Blackout is going to do anything.
No, they've kind of hinted that they probably won't be in Los Angeles, even though that's not 100% official yet.
Right.
It seems like they won't be.
So it seems like the only extreme haunt that will be happening in Los Angeles is going to be Heretic.
Perhaps, yeah.
And Heretic is, we've mentioned this in the past, is really tough to get into. And if you heard our interview with Heretic's creator, Adrian Marcato, from the Scare LA podcast, which you should go back and listen to because it's a good interview and it gives you some insight onto Heretic and how to get involved if you want to go. But based on how hard it is to get a ticket, if you're an Extreme Haunt fan, this is what you need to be aiming for to try to get a ticket for. He will be doing a show called Devotee of Evil or Devotee of Evil, but he said that this will be, I believe, a multiple night thing.
I hope so, because that's part of the issue I've had with Heretic in the past is they're so limited. But yeah, I hope this is a multiple night event.
So keep an eye on Heretic, follow them on Facebook, sign up for their email list, all that fun stuff. But yeah, this seems to be the only extreme thing going on in LA that we know of. If you are a secret underground extreme haunt and we don't know about you, please reach out to us. Let us know, because we are fans.
Yes, please. So, Mike, speaking of extreme stuff, we have talked about, and you and I have both gone through, the extreme haunt called The Victim Experience in Las Vegas, which is part of Freakling Bros horror shows.
Extreme haunt just does not seem like the right thing to call that.
No, it's so much more. They are not doing The Victim Experience this year, but we highly recommend the Trilogy of Terror, Freakling Bros horror shows in Las Vegas. Their regular haunts are so much fun, so well done, that it is worth a trip to Vegas. Mike and I have traveled to Vegas. I think I'm going on my 3rd or 4th year to go see these haunts.
Yeah. Now, this will be my 3rd, so I think it's your 4th.
Yeah, it's my 4th. There is there's a vampire maze. There is a Coven maze for Freakling Brothers, and there is what's called the Gates of Hell, which is extreme for a mainstream haunt, definitely. The material is darker. You might encounter some pain going through the Gates of Hell. So there might be a few painful surprises along the way. Highly recommend them, not because of the pain, because they really, really are good haunts. And just like, they're a blast. They're
Yeah.
just,
And like every time we talk about it, I always mention how the haunts have such old school techniques,
Right.
but they work so well. You know, like in Castle Vampire, the mirror scene, or the bottomless pit, or
Yeah.
the walls. And that's all I want to say. You know, like they're just so good and so well done. And actually, Warren hit us up on Facebook. We have the Extreme Haunt group, and he mentioned that in each of the mazes, there are going to be 3 changes in
Yes.
each of them. So even if you've gone last year, if you go through this year, there's going to be 3 things in each haunt that's going to be different, which is so exciting. And that got me even more excited to go.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the trip to Vegas. And if you go to Freakling, when you're in Vegas, you should also check out Hotel Fear and Asylum. And what you can do, and Mike was the person who actually helped me figure this out, because I missed Asylum and Hotel Fear 2 years ago because they were dark the only night I could get to Vegas. So check them out. They are haunts that you can do, Freakling Brothers and Hotel Fear and Asylum, all in the same night. You just have to give yourself enough time to get to each of them. They're not directly close to each other, but easily you can do all of these in the same night. Hotel Fear and Asylum have great production value, really effective scares.
Oh, yeah.
Really fun. There is one in the Asylum last year that got me so good. And all I can say is, basically it's a hallway. And when you get to the end of the hallway, something happens, which was so completely shocking to me. It's one of my most memorable scares from all of last year.
That's awesome.
And it's so simple. It's literally that I thought that was fake, and no, it's real. It was one of those moments. Absolutely a great scare.
And the cool thing about them too is this is going to be my 3rd year going to see them. The first year and the second year were different. So there were different scares, because I remember the first year I went, I came back and told you about this certain room in Hotel Fear. I was like, oh my God, this room is amazing. And it wasn't there last year. So they do change it up. So it's not the same exact thing every year.
Cool.
Also, you mentioned that you can do both in one night, Freakling and these. And obviously you can. And I just want to say that you can do both of them without getting a fast pass. So if you go, just make sure you go to what I did, and what has worked for me is I went to the Hotel Fear and Asylum and got there right at opening, got in one of them quick, waited in line for the other one. By the time you get out of one, there is going to be a line. So maybe waited an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half to get into the next one. But at that point, if they open at 7 o'clock, you're going to be out of there by 9 or 9:30, get to Freakling by 10. Freakling closes at 10-ish, or not 10, midnight or so.
Right.
And Freakling doesn't close until every guest goes through. So keep that in mind if you're planning out your trip.
Yeah, definitely 2 haunts worth checking out.
Another thing that I think goes under the radar a lot that people don't really focus on or realize are the amazing home haunts that we have in the area. You know, like you go through, we mentioned Sherwood Scare at the beginning of this episode, and going through it, you wouldn't realize or know that it's going to be it's in someone's yard. And the production value on these home haunts is incredible and puts the one I did to shame. But you have all of these people working in the industry and doing this for fun, and their skills and their artistic abilities are just so mind blowing. You know, like Rotten Apple 907, Diane taught classes at Scare LA and Midsummer Scream, and just showing the techniques that they use on their haunt to achieve what they get. It's incredible.
Mike, seriously, that is one of the things I am looking forward to most this year, for the reason that I have never been.
Really? Because
I have been working every night that they have been open for the last several haunt seasons.
Oh.
Because I've worked haunts, I've done other stuff. I have worked every single night that they were open for the last few haunt seasons, and I am so looking forward that this year I should be able to make it to that haunt. More than anything else, that's one of on my list. Like, I'm finally going to experience what everyone is talking about, because everyone who goes through that thing says it's amazing.
Yeah, and you can check out the dates that they're open on their website or on the My Haunt Life haunt calendar.
Cool.
At myhauntlife.com/calendar, in case you want to check to when you're working when it's open. But seriously, like this has a line cut off. When I went last year, they cut off the line at, I want to say, 9 o'clock or so.
Wow.
It opened at 7. They had people lining up since 5:30 or 6.
Wow.
That's what they were saying. And they cut the line because they have to close at a certain time just so they don't piss off the neighbors in the city. So at a certain point, just so many people get in line. Like, okay, if we want to close on time, no one else can go through. So if you go through, make sure to get there early. Otherwise, you will not make it through. And this is a donation-based thing. I believe all proceeds go to one of their charities, which most of the home haunts do. They all get donated to like a certain cause, which is incredible and awesome. And
seriously, if you're going to a home haunt, people donate.
Yeah, seriously.
Just donate, because trust us, there's a lot of effort and a lot of love and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into home haunting. So if it's a donation only sort of thing, donate.
Yeah, and especially once you go through and you see all the effort and work that people put into these haunts, like, you're going to understand why we're saying this. It's not just walking through someone's yard with a couple props and skeletons. Like, no, this is the real deal, full thing. Like, they could be charging you admission for this, and they don't. Another home haunt that's pretty close to Rotten Apple is the Backwoods Maze in Burbank. And man, all I have to say about them is follow their Instagram, because holy crap, they are putting up all these characters and different scenes from it. It's getting me so excited to see what they have going this year. And Backwoods is just mind blowing for what they do with the props they have. Like,
and the space.
Yeah. Like having what looks like tanker trucks and big, huge, muscly, like,
it's so funny that
guys,
you said there, because there is a moment where I turned a corner and I literally just stopped dead in my tracks and went, wait, how did you even get that in here? It was just, yeah, I really love, they're ambitious and the environments are really cool. Mm-hmm. Some of them very claustrophobic in feeling.
Yeah.
It's like not claustrophobic probably by our terms, but there's a couple of really tight spaces. You went into an interior room one time with another character, and very small, very intense. Really enjoyed that home haunt, absolutely.
Another one to check out is in Torrance, and that is the Clown House. And you may have heard us mention the Clown House before, because Dawson, who puts it on, he won the last puzzle in the Book of Fee, which is a puzzle-based thing that you can win money for if you solve the clues. And obviously, with the name like the Clown House, it's a clown theme. Although I believe he's changing it a bit this year.
There will be clowns.
Yeah, but it's going to be, I think, less fun and whimsical and more creepy and crazy.
Well, I believe he said there was an asylum theme.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which I'm always in favor of asylum themes.
So I believe the Clown House, this is going on its third year, and it's really cool to see how much someone can grow when they're just starting out. You know, like seeing last year and seeing just what he built. And unfortunately, I didn't go 2 years ago. I was out of town and I couldn't make the dates work. But seeing last year and hearing what he wants to do this year, it's just, this is why home haunts like get so much love and respect from me, because they keep outdoing themselves. Like, it's so easy to just do something for the neighborhood kids and be like, oh, here's a skeleton. But to build like this big immersive walkthrough with huge characters and, you know, like decorating the yard on top of that, it's just, it's such love and dedication. And it's something that I think a lot of haunts are missing, you know, because a lot of haunts are based on money and it's like, oh, we need to make money. And, you know, they kind of lose that part of it. And seeing people like Dawson and, you know, all the other home haunts we mentioned, you know, there's that love aspect and the love of Halloween and the love of haunts. And it's definitely something to check out. The last one I wanted to mention is Perdition Home Haunt. And this is in Orange County. I spoke to them at Midsummer Scream, and it sounds like they're not doing the full haunt, but they are going to have something. And I believe it's only going to be for a couple of days, like on Halloween or maybe the day before. But I mentioned Perdition because last time I went to the Perdition Home Haunt, it was insane. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, for a home haunt, it was gory. It was scary. There were blood and guts everywhere. And like, I'm a gore hound, and you know, these other haunts that I mentioned, they're scary and they're haunt, but there's not a lot of gore. Like, this is put on by people who are like me and love gore and love seeing blood and guts, you know, like, and I love that. And I'm bummed they're not doing the full thing, but I wanted to give them at least a nod to, if you're in the Orange County area, to check them out, because they will have something. So I hope I can make it to them. I think they're running the same nights as the Clown House, which is the 30th and 31st, but I'm not 100% sure. So make sure to check the My Haunt Life calendar at myhauntlife.com/calendar. Is that enough plugs, Russell?
I think possibly, maybe. Now, a slight change of pace, something I want to point to that I have been supporting for years, Mike, and I don't know if you've ever made any of Screamfest LA.
I haven't.
Screamfest LA is truly a great horror film festival. They've been around for over a decade. They are running October 18th through 27th this year in Hollywood, California. If you pull up their website, it looks like they're going to be back at the Man this year. Right in the heart of Hollywood, corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Highland, basically. They are a very well-curated, long film festival. Obviously, if they're going from the 18th to the 27th, quite often they do 2 or 3 screenings a night, and on the weekends, they fill the entire days. There are short film programs, there are student-level programs, there are feature films, and in the past, they have... this is the film festival where Paranormal Activity screened for the very first time for the public. I was lucky enough to attend that screening. I think, Mike, you might have noticed, I have the poster upstairs from the very first Paranormal Activity screening. It's framed and upstairs. Mm-hmm. You will see a lot of debuts. They do a lot of foreign films. They were they embraced Inside. That was where I saw Inside for the first time. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, Hatchet. These are all big films that, Screamfest gave me the opportunity to see for the very first time. So, they did the one time I've ever seen Trick or Treat on the screen was, they did a huge, wonderful Q&A for that when it came out, and kind of got dumped from its main release and didn't get fairly treated. So, this is Screamfest LA is a film festival for horror film lovers. They try to do, not necessarily panels, but they usually try to have mixers and socials where all the filmmakers can be met and you can talk to them. And it's a great vibe for a film festival. The only downside is that the fact that they're in the middle of October. So the more haunt stuff I do, the less I'm able to make screenings at Screamfest LA. Definitely check them out. It's a great film festival. I love attending stuff at Screamfest LA. Earlier than Screamfest LA, there is a film festival called Beyond Fest, which happens at the American Cinematheque site, the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. Their lineup is always such a weird, eclectic mix of stuff. And I know, Mike, we talked about screenings last year. I don't think either of us could go to anything last year because of our work and haunt schedule. But they have announced their lineup. Tickets are on sale. They have an amazing lineup. And Beyond Fest is something, it's one of those film festivals you just need to mark it on your calendar and check back every year. They're growing by leaps and bounds every year. Beyond Fest is I'm so excited. They're doing things like a remastered Phantasm, the sequel to Phantasm, the new one, Ravager. They're doing a screening of The Girl with All the Gifts, which is one of the most anticipated movies, especially for like horror fans, gamers, like all of that, like that's the thing that everyone's looking for.
Dawn of the Dead 3D.
Yeah, a 3D conversion of Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Some Fulci films with live orchestra. They are doing such interesting stuff. Definitely
They
check it
always
out.
have like guest stars and Q&As
Oh, yeah.
after almost all.
They have
actually.
Kurt Russell this year. They have an anniversary screening of Big Trouble in Little China. There's like Beyond Fest is definitely worth checking out. Another film festival in Los Angeles, right in the peak of the horror and haunt season.
Another thing going along with what you said about changing pace, I think a lot of people don't realize that there is so much. I mean, they may realize it, but they don't know how to find it. And I'm talking about searching out stuff for yourself, like searching Gold Star, searching Groupon. There's always things going on in LA that really don't get a lot of publicity. For example, I was searching Gold Star the other day, and there were 3 things that jumped out at me. They're all musicals. One of them is a Lizzie Borden musical happening in LA, a Nosferatu musical, and then also a Frankenstein musical. We probably would have never known that these existed unless it was for seeing them on Gold Star. And then also last year on Groupon, we found, like, I would get random haunted house emails from Groupon for things that I hadn't heard of, things like the Haunted Dojo. I wasn't able to check it out, but just knowing that there's so much more out there than that we think, it's kind of like space and aliens and stuff. There's more out there. All you have to do is search for it. So we're going to do our best to let you all know about it, but you should also check these things when you have a spare second because there is so much more out there.
And as well as Groupon, Living Social is another one that the stuff pops up on that you may not have heard about. So go on those sites and search everything from haunts, haunted house, spooky, Halloween,
horror.
Anything that you can think of that might lead you down a rabbit hole and lead you to something worth checking out.
So that about wraps it up for what we're looking forward to. Granted, we look forward to a lot, but that's because we definitely go out and try to see as much as we possibly can. And Russell, how do we figure out our schedules?
You know what? It would be really helpful if there was like a place you could go, a calendar that you could check out, and maybe even a map that showed the area, like the location where haunts were, if they were near each other.
Wait, I think there is such a thing.
There is, Mike?
Yeah. At myhauntlife.com/calendar and myhauntlife.com/map, there is a haunt calendar and a haunt map. And also there's an escape room map as well if you want to search for all the escape rooms. But the calendar will have all the dates listed for all of the haunts that we know about. If you are a haunt listening to this and you are not listed, please, please, please contact me, Mike at myhauntlife.com, and I will make sure you get added. Also, because there is so much happening in October, when you go to October on the calendar, it may take a little bit to load. But that's because of how much is actually there. And when it finally loads, you're going to look at it and be like, holy crap. And then you can start to Tetris your schedule together.
And I have to give a quick shout out. Mike slaves over a hot computer regularly to create that calendar and keep it up to date. And that's Mike's baby. And because I'm usually working long hours. And so Mike is the one who takes care of that and keeps it up to date. And Mike, I really appreciate it. And look, I joked with you earlier this year when I had my birthday. I actually turned to our own calendar to figure out the escape room.
That shouldn't be a joke. That should be a natural thing. You should be doing that anyway.
Which I'm just reaffirming that, yes. It's like I actually use it as a resource myself.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, so, like, mad props to you for maintaining it. It's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource.
So that about wraps it up. This was what we're looking forward to for this haunt season. Thank you for checking it out. Once again, you can find more information about everything that we talked about at myhauntlife.com. You can check out the haunt calendar at myhauntlife.com/calendar. The haunt map at myhauntlife.com/map. If you want to reach out to either one of us, you can email us at mike@myhauntlife.com or russell@myhauntlife.com with 2 S's and 2 L's. And with that being said, I'm Mike.
And I'm Russell.
And thanks for listening, and we will see you soon in the dark.
This is confusing me.
Sorry.
And I confuse easily.